Hey everyone, my name's Chris.
I'm Kendall.
And we're bike gearheads.
Today we're going to talk to you guys about how to pick out a fork for your mountain bike.
You might be asking yourself, what fork do I need?
What's this part do?
What's this for? Well, we're here to answer all your questions.
We have 4 of our favorites here picked out for you guys from Fox and RockShox. We're going to get into all the nitty gritty stuff. Yeah, these are all top tier in terms of, where they sit in the product tree, but they all come in dumbed down, more cost-effective versions.
Today we're going to give you a little bit of insight into what fork is right for your bike, but also a little bit of a head-to-head with the top tier from each brand at Fox and RockShox with the Zeb and the Pike and the 36 and the 34.
So let's talk through the anatomy of a fork so that when we talk about a specific part, you guys know what we're talking about. These are the stanchions here.
These are the lowers below the stanchions.
Up here we have the steer tube. This goes through the head tube of your frame.
On the right side of the top of this crown, we have the damper. This is where you adjust your high and low speed compression.
On the other side here, we have the air spring where you inflate with your shock pump.
And on the bottom is typically your rebound adjustments. The back of the fork has your mounts for your brakes, and your different through axle comes with each fork.
And all of these forks that we have bolt-on fender compatibility.
One of my favorite additions to forks. Also, you'll see on the back, you'll have bleed valves for pressure. So say you live at sea level and you're doing a race up at 7,000 feet, you can press these valves out and it'll equalize the chambers.
Yeah, it gets rid of unwanted air pressure in places where it's not supposed to be. Also just great for like traveling, even if you're doing like bike park or shuttle stuff, big changes in elevation, you can get rid of that unwanted air.
You'll see a lot of similarities in general with the way that dampers are being constructed and forks are being manufactured these days. Forks for super lightweight race bikes like the 32 from Fox to a more mid-level trail fork like the 34 and the Pike from RockShox. And then stepping up a level to the 36, this is kind of like your heavy-duty trail light enduro fork to a Zeb, which is comparable with the 38 from Fox with the larger stanchions here, 38 mil, and then all the way up to your downhill forks that are typically like the Fox 40 or the World Cup from RockShox.
Yeah, another thing that kind of goes along with all these different types of fork is like a travel range. And so, in the cross-country space, you're going to be seeing like 100 to 120, maybe 130 for like downcountry trail, 130 to 150. And then when you get into the 160 to 180 range, we're going to be talking like more about enduro. So that's another way to kind of classify them.
Those numbers I was telling you about that are the stanchion diameters do a few things. One is kind of just the durability of the fork. Obviously, a smaller number on the stanchion diameter, like a 32, is going to be less durable, but a little bit lighter weight, less material. A 38, the higher end of the range on the enduro side of things, is going to be super stiff, really good compliance and durability for hard-hitting enduro bikes, whether you're shuttling or at the bike park.
All right, let's jump into some of the models that we picked out to show you guys. This is going to be the Fox 34 factory grip 2.
So this fork comes in either a 130 or a 140 mil. The 34 is a perfect fork for your kind of upper tier XC bike or downcountry bike or light duty trail bike. This one specifically comes with a Grip 2 damper, which is the upgraded damper from Fox, the higher end of things for them. That gives you adjustability for your high speed and low speed compression. What compression is, it's the amount of kind of pressure it takes to compress the fork, and you can adjust how stiff it is with those compression knobs. Low speed compression is typically for your smaller bump sensitivity, and your high-speed compression is for those larger hits.
The other thing that Grip 2 is going to give you is high and low-speed rebound adjustments. That's something that we really only see from Fox, and this gives you control for if you want to slow things down for maybe like a more predictable ride, or if you want to speed things up for a more reactive suspension feel for maybe like riding faster in rougher terrain.
The 34 millimeter stanchions give you that nice balance between stiffness and weight. So this is kind of a really good mid-tier level fork that's also comparable with the Pike.
Yes, another thing too about the 34 is it's also available with Fox's Fit 4 damper, which basically is like a pre-tuned version of the Grip 2 that's just a little bit easier to set up. And it's also compatible with a remote lockout, which for, I think the 34 makes a lot of sense. You know, if you're using this on more of like a downcountry, cross-country oriented bike, that remote lockout is a great feature.
So the Fit 4 will give you a little bit less adjustability, but a little bit of an easier setup the Grip 2 damper and the high and low speed rebounds on this higher end factory option from Fox, similar to the 36 here, you have multiple things you have to consider. Your sag, when you're setting your air pressure, which there's a nice little guide here on the side of the fork to give you an idea of how much pressure you need based off of your weight and your riding style. So you set your air pressure accordingly, and then you dive into each individual setting to get the ride exactly how you want it. So these factory ones are really, really customizable, but take a little bit longer to dial them in. The Fit 4 will feel a little bit better out of the box for someone that's not really looking to have a race-driven bike, but is just looking for a really good feel and a lot of reliability.
And the Fit 4 is still available in the factory trim, so if you really want the Kashima but you want the easier setup, that's an option too.
Next on our list is this Fox 36. Kenny, why don't you give us some details about this and what makes it different than the 34?
Yeah, so this is the 36 Grip 2 factory fork. This is going to be available in either a 150 or a 160 mil travel configuration. That's also easily adjustable with an air spring upgrade. This is going to be, again, the Grip 2 damper, so similar on that front. The big difference is going to be the travel options that we just mentioned and the 36 millimeter stanchions, which are going to be more useful for, like Chris said, aggressive trail, I think, is right where this sits at. Or if you wanted to go like with an enduro light kind of build, you could totally use this for that as well.
My 36 that I had last year was actually long shocked to 170 mil travel, and you know, on an enduro bike until the 38 came out, it's one of those things where like, how much stiffer is the 38? Is this really kind of like the fork that I need, or am I just hearing a lot of chatter about how the 38 is just better because it came out? I found that it was a nice balance of keeping my enduro bike relatively lightweight while still providing a lot of performance.
Totally. I think it's a great pick for the rider who wants to go ride the gnarliest stuff but isn't really planning on relying on, you know, shuttles and chairlifts to get to where they're going.
Also, you'll see these new bleed valves the last couple of years from Fox on the back. If you do get the Fox integrated mudguard, these bleed valves screw off here with a 10 millimeter socket. Remove those, take out this washer, place on the fender as the washer, clip up these couple bolts up here, and you're good to go with a really sleek looking fender that integrates nice into your setup.
Yeah, I love the bolt-on fenders. It's just not really a place on my bike where I want to see zip ties. I prefer not to see zip ties at all. So I love the bolt-on fenders.
Well, that is the factory 36 from Fox. Now onto the RockShox side, we have the Pike Ultimate. Kenny, give us a little bit of details of kind of RockShox line and what the Ultimate means.
So the Ultimate is basically going to be comparable to the factory namesake from Fox. This is going to be the premium offering from RockShox. You're going to get all the features. This Pike is pretty similar in its intended use to the 34. So this is going to be something where you could use it on a short travel trail, down country, cross country build. The travel options are going to be 120, 130, and 140 millimeters of travel. This new Charger 3 damper allows for more fine tuning than ever before. A lot more, you know, clicks on the knobs than previously seen from RockShox.
Does this have the ButterCups?
This does have the ButterCups. So ButterCups are essentially a rubber and metal pad that sits on the bottom on both the air side and the damper side. RockShox is saying that they integrated this new technology to really help with like small bump compliance and like vibration damping. So like you're not necessarily going to notice it with like big hits, but when you're going over like loose over hard conditions where there's like lots of little stones that your bike's traveling over, the idea is that it's going to absorb some of that vibration and with the fork and take it away from your hands. This is also going to be bolt-on fender compatible like we mentioned, and this is also going to have the bleed valves.
Now onward to the Zeb. This fork has come into the marketplace as the competitor to the 38 as a little bit of a lighter weight option than a downhill fork, but still provides a lot of the strength, durability, and big hit compliance that you're looking for on a big enduro or bike park or free ride bike.
I think a cool thing too about the 38 mil stanchions is yes, they're great for enduro riding, but it also makes the bike great for free riders, just bigger guys, and for e-bikes especially. I think this is a big thing that we're seeing that's more common and is crucial if you're going to be riding an e-bike. You want more stiffness because the bike weighs more.
Let's chat about the air springs that you can run in a Zeb. What's the travel range?
So it's actually a huge travel range for a 38 mil stanchion fork. You can go from 150, 160, 170, 180, all the way up to 190. This gives you like a huge amount of flexibility on whether you want to use this fork for like a free ride bike, if you want to go up to the larger end of that, you know, travel, and then you can go all the way down to a 150 if you want to go more for like aggressive trail, enduro light, but still have the torsional stiffness of those 38 mil stanchions.
Totally, and I think that's a cool thing. If you're buying a bike, you can always know that you're going to be able to upgrade or change out your air spring and really dial it in for your bike.
Yeah, I think it's super impressive, and I don't really think that we see those options for travel configurations across other 38 millimeter forks, so it's definitely cool to see. Other things with the Zeb, we're going to see the Charger 3 damper that we mentioned, so it's going to have more clicks than ever before. It's only going to have low speed compression, high speed compression, and then one rebound knob. So 3 adjustments there instead of 4 like we see on the factory Grip 2 stuff.
Kenny, tell us about the differences between Fox and RockShox.
Yeah, there's a few key things. I think when you talk about the Grip 2 damper, I don't really think you can beat that in terms of adjustability, right? You have 4 settings to adjust rather than the 3 that are offered with the new Charger 3 damper on RockShox. The other thing is that RockShox forks are basically only available in 3 different stanchion diameters. You have the 38 on the Zeb, the Pike, Lyric, and Sid are all 35 millimeter, and then the Sid SL does go down from there, whereas with Fox, you have 32, 34, 36, and 38, so a little bit more fine-tuning control.
And 40 with the downhill.
And so, yeah, of course, 40 with the downhill.
Talking in general, too, as you start to figure out what fork is right for you, there's a couple things to keep into consideration. There's forks made for different wheel sizes, so if you have a 27.5 bike, make sure you're purchasing a 27.5-inch wheel compatible fork. Same thing for 29. You're also going to see on this fork specifically is a 44 millimeter offset. The brand and the manufacturer will kind of tell you exactly that's the kind of kilter of the angle of the fork. Make sure that you get an offset that is compatible with your frame.
Yeah, mostly we're seeing that 44 offset on bikes these days, but there are still some lingering other measurements there.
Well, guys, thanks for tuning in and kind of letting us tell you a bit about the differences between these forks, and hopefully you have a little bit of an idea of what's right for you, whether you're XC, riding trails, going out to the bike park, hitting enduro races this summer. Leave a comment below and let us know what your favorite fork is. Reach out to a gearhead as well, because we're talking about kind of the most top-selling forks that we have on our website, the most popular forks in the market right now. But that being said, we do have other options. We have some Olin, some DVO, other brands, also shocks from Push. We have a lot of suspension on the site, so make sure you reach out to a gearhead and get some information about some of the different offerings that we have.
Definitely. And if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll keep making more like this one.
Sweet, guys. Well, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the trails.
You.